Welcome everybody to Waterbox Live. Coming at you every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel. It's mandatory.
Mandatory is hitting the like button and subscribing now. Last week it was just subscribing. Now I'm putting it mandatory on liking and subscribing.
Mandatory on like, okay. The currency to win the things here on the table is smashing the like button.
Yes. So today we are talking about auto top-offs, but we're also adding inverts into the Peninsula all-in-one from Ora. So lots of fun stuff to do today. I think let's get it started. Eventually, we're going to get a system down on that.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. It's all good. We got a cool show for you guys today. As you can see on the screen, you can follow me and Jess on Instagram.
You get to see lots of cool stuff
That's
behind the scenes.
also mandatory. It's mandatory.
Everything is mandatory. We post behind the scenes things or things before you see them on the show, so it is great to follow us there. And one of those things that we've posted about recently is that we did go to Ora. Did a nice trip there to check out their farm. But first, let's talk about what we're giving away today, what we got going on with the build. So today is a CJ shirt and some pump clean. Yep. So 2 winners on that one. Engage in the comments, like it, subscribe, ask questions, conversate. So
And
And then, and then for the giveaway itself, he's going to take a nap. I'm going to continue on. For the giveaway itself, you can go to our webpage. I'm going to bring it up here. You can talk to them about our giveaway.
Yeah. So there you go, guy. Jesus. Cut the stream. Head over to waterboxaquariums.com/all-in-one. You can hit this webpage right here. You can fill out the information. A bunch of social actions get you more entries to win. It's a no-brainer. Doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah.
So head on over, fill it out, get entered to win. A little bit more information down below as we move along. We got the episodes that we're going to be putting up on this page. You can see the livestock by Ora, which we'll be also listing that as well. Yeah,
it's a great giveaway because you've got not just a tank, but you got a pump from SICCE, you got a livestock bundle from Ora. So it's a little bit of everything. And the most exciting thing about this, you get to follow along, is a fully aquacultured build. And something we wanted to do for a long time. Yeah. We love Ora. We've partnered with them on a few other things. We've had them for all of our Blue Fridays. And it never gets old talking to them, seeing their stuff. So being able to do this build that is 100% aquacultured. All livestock is from Ora. And then we use CaribSea live rock and their live sand. So nothing's coming from the ocean. It's really exciting what's going to happen over the next couple weeks with this build.
I love this concept. It's really cool.
So, but we did take a trip to Ora. And we're going to show you a little bit of it. This is just the beginning. You're going to see more of our tour there over the next couple of weeks, but we did get to see a lot of cool stuff while we were there.
Yeah.
Something a bit newer from Ora that a lot of people might not realize is sharks. So we are here in Shark Farm.
Shark Nursery, yeah.
Shark Nursery. We're going to check out some cool stuff going on.
Epaulet Sharks.
Yes.
One of the best sharks for the home aquarium, in my mind, because they stay relatively small. And I say relatively because they do get up to 36 inches, but in comparison to some of your other shark species, they actually stay much, much smaller.
So would, say, an epaulet be pretty fair in like our LX 320.7, like a 7-foot, 30-inch would be okay in there?
You could easily start one off in there for quite some time, particularly as a small, super adorable shark pup.
Oh, do you have any shark pups to see?
Currently, we only have shark eggs.
Okay.
But we can show you those.
All right, so in here, is it one pair of sharks? Is it groups of them? Like, how are these all kind of broken up?
So yeah, you've got multiple harems, one male, several females, different species of epaulet sharks.
Okay.
Your regular epaulet, your speckled carpet shark. These guys happen to be one of my favorites. Their patterns are beautiful.
Where the other one go?
Yeah, where did they go?
Check out this adorable shark. I love sharks. The epaulets are really cool. They have beautiful pattern.
and really remarkable animals, actually. These are found in tide pools, so they can deal with a wide range of conditions. Super hot water, super cold water, no oxygen. They can crawl out of water. They're actually called walking sharks.
Wow.
They can actually do something crazy like turn off half their brain for 4 hours in the absence of complete zero oxygen.
Wow, so extremely hardy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good shark for people who've never had one or have a big enough aquarium. And they're absolutely beautiful. How about shyness? Are they very shy? As far as I know, a lot of sharks tend to hide a lot in aquariums.
They are. They're a little bit shy. I mean, they like to kind of hang out in little caves, but
they're saying hi.
when it comes to feeding, they are ready to party.
They're ready to party. So this one's more of a spotted.
This would be your regular epaulet, yep.
Okay, very cool. That one seems like he's got a lot of personality.
He
He's
is
coming to
ready.
say hi. All right, we got eggs to see.
Yeah, so we've got eggs, we got the dates they were laid. Oftentimes they're called mermaid purses.
Oh, okay. So how long do they stay here when they're laid until you get a little pup?
A surprisingly long amount of time. I think it's somewhere around 6 to 7 months.
Oh, wow.
They hatch out, they look like little salamanders, they are adorable.
Wow, so it's 6 and they just hang in here. You don't have to do anything but keep water going?
So one of the things that we like to do is make sure they're eating on their own.
Okay.
So we essentially are hand feeding these until we feel they're comfortable enough being ready to be sold.
Okay, once
usually
they're
around
hatched.
6 to 8 inches.
Wow, okay. We got no babies at the moment?
No, I'm
Becoming.
sorry. But
That's
soon.
a long process.
Next it is.
Yeah. All right, so what do we have in here? These definitely look a little bit bigger, not quite the same pattern as epaulets. What are these guys?
So you'd be incorrect in saying bigger. These actually stay smaller.
Oh, they're just fatter.
They are, right. So these are our short-tailed nurse sharks. They top off at about 24 inches. Super charming, really cool. They've got a very unique behavior where they will sleep on their back.
Whoa.
So you'll come
Okay.
out here sometimes, your heart will drop. You'll be like, oh no, they're gone. But they just sleep on their back. It's
Okay, so
very
you
weird.
said nurse shark and 24 inches in one sentence.
Yeah.
Like how is it, like a dwarf?
Yeah, well, exactly. A short-tailed nurse shark.
Okay.
So most short nurse sharks in the wild, 5, 8, 10 feet long. These guys top off at around 24.
And these
one of-
are suitable for the home aquarium?
I would say probably these are the best sharks for the home aquarium.
Wow, you could have your very own nurse shark in your house if you had a large enough aquarium.
Absolutely.
That's too cool. I've never seen one. Look how cute they are. All right, that was probably the favorite thing that I did while we were there.
That was awesome.
And I want a short-tailed nurse shark, like
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. We have to have one.
Yeah, I honestly, I never knew that that was a thing.
I didn't
That you
either.
could, and it only gets 24 inches, so it's very sizable. And that's now going to be somewhere in this studio at some point.
Yeah, for
There's
sure.
no choice. Must do it.
Yeah. I've heard about people, that are out fishing, catching those and thinking that they're baby nurse sharks.
Wow.
I didn't realize until we went there that that's not what they are.
And they're so cool. You can get them aquacultured now that they're actually breeding and raising those different types of sharks. So something kind of cool that you didn't really expect to see when we went to Ora was to actually go into a shark nursery area. And then a lot of times, of course, how is things getting to your door? When you order something, or how's it getting to your dealer when they're ordering from Ora? They let us take a look at their shipping practices on
Otherwise
there.
known as their pack out building.
Pack out building, yes.
So here we are in the Ora Pack House. Can you guys tell us a little bit more about what happens here in this building?
Absolutely. Donna?
Sure. So this is actually a very unique building in our facility. It's actually the only building that houses species from our hatcheries, our coral greenhouse, as well as our Marshall Island clam facility. So all of these systems are actually unique to our Marshall Island facility. Whenever we get a Marshall Island shipment in, which is generally 2 times a month, everything gets staged in these troughs, as well as the troughs in the back of the building. That includes our SPS, our LPS, as well as our clams. So any clams that come from ORA are staged in this building, ready to be shipped to either your door or to your local fish store. So as far as shipments, we do multiple shipments every day, upwards to 500 different stores in one single day sometimes. And all of them are individually bagged. We don't generally do a bulk packing of any of our animals. We want them to be able to transition from our systems into the home aquarium as safeguarded as possible. So every single fish and coral, look at something like this, would be individually bagged based on the species. And we heat seal the packages or we clip the bags. That way we're ensuring the best possible air quality as possible and making sure that they arrive with air still in the bags.
So we get a wide variety of livestock from our clam farm, not just clams. We're going to be raising soft corals like Sinularias, leathers, mushrooms, zoanthids, in addition to our clams, Acropora and monopores as well. These are all kept here, completely separate from our coral greenhouse, strictly for biosecurity reasons.
So in this building specifically, we have two different variations of holding systems that we bring all of our fish and inverts into prior to shipping. So this cube system here, as well as the troughs, we generally utilize this for heavy bulk and heavy quantity fish. So generally our international shipments are staged in these areas as opposed to our glass systems, which most of our domestic retailers and our local fish stores would utilize.
So we work a lot with invertebrates that are very beneficial for the home aquarium. For algae control particularly, we raise multiple species of urchins, from the very popular tuxedo urchin to the variegated urchin as well. Very, very good at what they do to keep your home aquarium clean.
All
There you
right,
have it.
there you go. Seeing into how they get all those orders out and everything safely bagged and shipped to your dealer or yourself. It's kind of cool how you'll see as we show the tour, as like where the corals go from, that's where that all goes before it can ship, and then just the process and sequencing that it goes through.
Yeah, there's a lot of really neat, there's a lot more footage to look forward to in the coming weeks.
Yes. You can't have it all at once.
Yeah, we're not going to give it to you all at once because it doesn't, there's some really good stuff. Corals, fish, the whole gamut. So,
Patience.
yeah,
Patience.
definitely looking
We had a
forward to
really
that.
good time. It was great being there. But so this week, of course, we're adding inverts to the all-in-one Peninsula build. And these are inverts that are aquacultured by Ora. They did ship those to us. They arrived today. And what they did is, because we're not going to be able to show them real great as we put them into the aquarium, is they took a little bit of footage for us as they were hand picking them, just so you can kind of see them up close. And that way you see here, like, got some Sarah snails. Like, they're not going to be able to see them real well once they go in the tank. So you can kind of see these. These are great for your rock, sand, glass. They kind of go everywhere. A perfect all-around snail, and they don't get real big. So they're just doing their thing of eating algae. Dun, dun. Oh, all right. And here's a Troca snail, and you're going to see when we go into the tank that it's probably the largest Troca snail I've ever seen. And I said to Jordan, when I was there, I was like, oh my God, I've never seen Troca snail this big. They didn't get their shipment in like the smaller ones. So he sent me one massive Trochus, and I'm in love with him, and we need a cool name for him. And then you have your urchins. And you see you've got the tuxedo urchins, the red tuxedo, and also the variegated urchins on this one. Those are going to go into there as well. Along with, we got some, next one coming up is some limpets. So these are cool little dome type snail shells. You don't see them real frequent, and they are going to clean the rock and everything really well. So that one just went out on us now. Our TVs are taking a nap.
As I should be as well.
So yeah, you get to see a little up close on them. They hand picked out our inverts, packed them up in the pack out building. And they came over to us today. They've been acclimating, and we're going to go over to that in a little bit. But we want to also set up and show you how to set up an ATO, auto top-off unit. We're using XP Aqua Duetto. We use that on all of our systems. That are the ultimate. It's a great unit. But kind of just show you what each component is, what it does. Let me grab those. I meant to put it up here already, actually. So
great little ATO system too, and
yep.
we have the Clear Mini, which makes for a great ATO.
Yes. So we're just
10.
going to use a clear 10 as our reservoir for the ATO. And I'm just going to kind of show you. We got the ultimate. Because whenever we always recommend use an ATO unit. It's going to keep your salinity more stable. But, you know, you get it and you're like, well, what do I need for it? What do I need to do? This is going to simplify that part
Right,
of
it's
it.
an all-in-one because everything's built into that back chamber. There's no
Yep.
sump. With our reef systems, typically there's an ATO built into the sump, like a tank,
Yeah.
you know, built into it where you can put your, you know, RO water. The system doesn't have it, so our Clear Mini actually makes a perfect ATO.
Yeah, and also like the Clear 6 works perfectly in a
Yeah.
Cube 20 cabinet. We're using this one for this one. You will evaporate a lot, and you don't have an ATO set up. You know, every day or two, your water level's dropping by that much in your chambers. Your salinity is increasing.
Yeah.
You fluctuate a lot, and it's not as good for the inhabitants. If you can just
Yeah.
have an ATO, it's going to take care of it for you. You don't have to think about it. So you just have power supply. Nothing really special with that.
One of the things I learned early on was how important the ATO is for the stability of the system because you don't want that fluctuating salinity. And in these all-in-ones, next thing you know, if you don't top it off, your pump's pulling air, you're throwing air bubbles all into the tank. And
It's just not good. Yeah. And if you can be there and you top off 2-3 times a day, you know, wouldn't worry about it, but otherwise I would. So the Duetto does come with the little pump that you're going to need. So you don't have to buy anything extra when you get this. So you've got a little tiny pump, real small, but actually pumps water pretty nicely. This is actually a little backflow valve that you'll put into the line so that it can't auto siphon any water. You're going to also have, this is basically your little controller. It's going to flash at you, or you can push it to reset. It's going to let you know, and it's going to beep if water's low or something's not working. And then this is your water level sensor, done by magnet. It's just going to go through the glass. And these are little optical sensors. There's actually 2 of them, so that it.
I thought you wanted to show how you position
Yeah.
it in the glass.
I want to show everything here real quick. Boop. Tubing holder. That is it. Very simple. So this is going to be sitting under the aquarium, and this is where your pump is going to go, because this is where you're going to keep your fresh water at.
do not put salt water in your ATO
No.
reservoir. I made that mistake early on, believe
Yeah.
it or not.
So your little pump
only
goes there.
fresh water, RODI water specifically, in your reservoir.
Yeah, so you really are just connecting a couple things. So this is going to be under your aquarium, and this pump is going to hook into your little controller. This is what's going to go on your tank, or if you're doing it into a sump, onto your sump. And it's very easy. You put this at the water level that you want it to be, and that's all you have to do. This sensor is then going to tell the controller, okay, the water level's low, turns pump on. As soon as it hits the level, turns it back off. And it just does that constantly throughout the day. So any little drop, it's still into water, and your salinity never changes. And then just your power supply and tubing. So very simple setup, but it's very effective.
Right.
And with the dual optical sensors, it keeps it from, if one happened to go bad or if it overflowed or not, it keeps it very reasonable within like the amount of up and down it can go with the water level.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, great little system. Retails, I think, around $129 here in the United States.
something like that. Yeah.
If you want to pick it up with your Waterbox, you can purchase it at waterboxaquariums.com as well.
All right, we'll take this on over. We're gonna put some snails and stuff into our peninsula and set up an ATO. So let's get this just set up while we're doing it here. And then we'll get the inverts in. They can finish dripping some more.
So as you guys can see, on the Peninsula 65.4, the doors open on one side. So basically, when you set this cabinet up, you decide which side you want to open, depending on your living space. And we chose this particular side, so.
Yeah. So, pretty simply, Rick, if you want to put that onto the chamber. So, in an all-in-one like this, your evaporation is going to happen only in the chamber that holds your return pump. So make sure that's where you're positioning your sensor at. And also generally that's pretty close to where you want to have your return water go. But don't put it in the aquarium itself or anything else because you're not going to have the evaporation happen in those spots. So we're just going to hook up tubing. Doop, doop, doop. Into the holder. Then we're going to bring it down to the pump down here. All right, you put that in and tighten it in. So this little pump, it's small, which is great for whatever container you're using. It's pretty much going to fit, but it's going to be able to pump all the way up to the aquarium as well. Doop, doop. And I can actually cut this a little bit shorter. We have, those are like a little backflow here, and you do have to splice that into the line. And what this is going to do is in case the end of that became submerged, it's not going to backflow water from your aquarium into your reservoir, and vice versa if your reservoir, if it was next to it, was higher water level than your sump. It's not going to let it to backflow.
Just to reiterate that, guys, she's saying don't put the line that's running into the return pump chamber, don't submerge it. Keep it just a little bit above the water line that you want.
Yeah, this may be a safety fail, like, but you don't want to have that constantly as an issue to where, just in case. Bum, bum, bum. All right, that pump goes in there. And then we are going to take our sensor. And so what we need to do here is we're just going to put it at the water level that we want it to be. Right about here, we're a little bit low just because we were doing top off for acclimation for the inverts. But the sensor goes there. And then all you're doing is plugging it in together and filling your container with RO.
Super simple.
Yep, super simple,
Only
just
takes
like
a few
that.
minutes.
Done. You keep this full, so you figure this is like a 10-gallon, so you kept it 3/4 of the way full. We're looking at 7 gallons of water. It's going to let us not worry about this for days.
Right.
And the salinity is not going to fluctuate. And when you have corals and inverts and stuff, that does matter. So it's just one of those things that gives peace of mind.
And as you guys see on all of our other reef-ready systems that have sumps, we designed all of those aquariums with ATO chambers specifically for use with this kind of electronic ATO. Now with these all-in-one systems, you can't build that into it. But
Yeah.
like we showed you, you can use a clear mini, you can use a Rubbermaid bin. There's a lot of different things you can come up with, a 5-gallon bucket,
Go this way.
so on and so forth.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like one of those things for convenience and just also just like for your tank, it's one of the best investments you can make for like a optional equipment, you would say.
Yeah.
So, inverts, we have here everything that Ora has sent us. They have been drip acclimating for about 45 minutes. We have a little bit over doubled the water that they came into. And this is going to let them get used to any salinity changes, temperature, all of that. I'm going to go ahead and pull this using a simple airline tubing, created a siphon, and just tied a knot to decide how much flow I wanted. There are some fancier acclimating kits out there, but this works for about 5 cents. So they have acclimated. One thing to remember, especially with inverts, is because in the shipping bags, they can be very dirty. They create a lot of waste in there. The water is usually discolored, especially if they're not shipping overnight like Ora does. A lot of times the inverts might ship 2-day or something, where you have a lot of them in a bag. There's a lot of waste product. Once you open that and you put the water into a bucket, the ammonia can start to spike really quickly just because it's been contained in there, hits oxygen, it can spike. I always use something like Prime, which helps neutralize ammonia nitrites, and put that in there when you acclimate them because it's going to make it a lot safer for them. You're going to have less die-off. So one of those little tricks that most people don't know about, use something to get the ammonia to not be as toxic
Dropping
in there.
knowledge is, tell you what.
Yeah, they make some nasty water in a bag. So you don't want that water like getting even worse while they acclimate. So of the stuff we've showed on the video of what they picked, we have our giant Trochus. And I'm looking for name suggestions on this guy because he's like a pet. Look how big he is.
My head goes right to Fred. I don't know.
Fred or Gary.
Gary, yeah.
Gary. His name might have to be Gary. He's huge. I've never seen a Trochus this big.
That is crazy.
And he's pretty much going to be like the main snail in here, just doing his thing. I will be definitely having to make sure that I glue and epoxy down coral frags because he's going to be
He's
a
gonna
little wrecking
bulldoze
crew
them
in here.
over.
But I think he's going to have a lot of personality.
Gary.
Gary. If you can come up with a better name, send it. But right now, his name is Gary. And then we have urchins. With these, they do require a lot of algae. So since this is somewhat new of a tank, even though we did use established rock, there is some algae. We're going to actually feed these guys types of algae to make sure that they have enough natural food in here. As you see, this guy has even got some algae on his top as decoration. Because urchins are cool. They will pick up shells, pieces of algae, little things, frags if they're not glued down, and kind of carry them around with him as camouflage. He lost his algae. So they're a lot of fun to watch. They're really good grazers, but you do want to make sure they have enough algae. If not, put like a little sheet of seaweed or nori in there to allow them something to munch on. Some of the macroalgae are really good for them too. So that's a red tuxedo urchin. And then another type that Ora is aquaculturing. This is called the variegated urchin. So a little bit different looks in as far as how spiky they are. And they have some different like streaks of color. These guys are gonna go in there. Something kind of cool. They're a lot of fun to watch. And since this rock did come from an existing tank, there is more natural algae growing to where I wouldn't necessarily add inverts as soon. I mean, not inverts, but urchins, unless you plan to feed a lot of extra algae to them. And then the other ones, I don't know if you're going to be able to see too well, because you have Ora snails. These are these little guys here. So these are great because they do rock, sand, glass. They kind of go everywhere. They don't get real big. And then I'm just going to go ahead and like lay them around on the sand. And then anytime with snails, I always try and make sure you keep an eye on them and flip them over once you put them in, just to give them a good start.
They're so small, it's hard to imagine they would do much cleaning.
They will. I mean, yeah, small inverts, small snails, small crabs. Like, you have to figure their whole job and their only purpose all day, every day is to clean. So even if they're small, they still do a lot of work. And it's also why you can't overstock inverts either. Because once they run out of algae, if you're not supplementing, they're going to just die off on you. I know a lot of times like people will be like, I got 100 snails and 100 crabs and stuff like this for my aquarium to get going. I mean, that's great. You probably got a great deal on that, but 95 of them are probably going to die because you put so many in at one time and they run out of algae. I'm for real. Keaton's laughing. So, you know, stock smartly. And then also with aquacultured, you know, you're not taking these from the wild either, which is always a bonus.
Jess, they love the name Gary, by the way.
Okay, so everyone's good with Gary.
They said there's no better name.
He's the biggest Trochus ever. So these are Limpets. They're really cool because they're like the flat bottom, and you see how much shell they have and just that little body. And then they're just gonna scoot around. They get in, the cool thing about them is they get into really tight spots and can clean really well. And that's not something you usually see. You know, you go to your local fish store, you don't usually see Limpets as a normal invert choice, but they're very good cleaners. And you can ask your local fish store to get them from Ora. So these are the last guys to go in. Trying to set these guys on the rock because with their flat shell shape, I imagine if they fall down, upside down, they're not getting up on their own. All right. These things are hard to find in a bucket. They stick to the bottom. All right, spread these guys around. All right, go with that. Top off is set up, inverts are in. They'll start keeping everything clean. Also want to make sure, of course, that we've added inverts. We've been testing and using bacteria since we set this aquarium up and maintaining that there's no cycle or no spikes happening. So that's always important to check before you add anything to your aquarium. We do things a little bit faster sometimes than you may be able to at home, but every aquarium is different. So test, 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 and don't add anything until you know that you're not cycling, you don't have ammonia, you don't have nitrite. And then continue to use that bacteria just to be safe.
Yep. Good stuff.
Good stuff.
So much knowledge is just
Yeah.
dropped. Jess has,
I'm out of breath from talking.
yeah, that was really good though.
Yeah.
Every time you talk about this stuff, I learn something.
You're here for the knowledges too. He's not here for the show, he's here for the knowledges.
I'm here for the knowledges and
That's
naps.
good to know. And naps. I figure where these naps are happening, man. All right, while we get back to this, I have, Ora has sent us a little card today, and
Yes.
I got to share a little bit of it with you guys. Just says, thank you so much for supporting aquaculture. Love the Ora team. Rich, got a question for you, though.
What's that?
What did the ocean say to the shore?
I don't know.
Nothing. It just waved. Boom. They sent us a nice joke. I thought it was great. Wanted to share
I
with
love
y'all.
Those guys are amazing over there.
Yeah.
I highly suggest supporting them if you can. They've been doing this 25 years.
25 years. I
They're
mean, they're
such
like
a
the
noble
pioneers,
cause.
beginnings of
Yeah.
it. Amazing people, amazing facilities. That's why we've chosen them year after year
Yeah.
to work with them with our build or our events and stuff.
Yeah.
And every time I talk to them, it's so great to just talk to them, learn more stuff. We're always learning from them too, so definitely check them out. You can ask for them at your local fish store. Go to them, ask for Ora if they don't already them. You can also check out like Live Aquaria does carry Ora items as well.
Yep.
So, questions, comments, what?
Don says, when can I start adding invertebrates to my 7225 Peninsula? I've been cycling for 3 weeks now.
There's a lot of variables. Did you use live sand? Did you use live rock or rock like live rock that has bacteria? Are you adding bacteria? Are you fishless cycling? So those all come to play, but the main thing is if you are having waste product in their fishless cycle, something like that, and you're continuing to test and you don't have ammonia or nitrite, then you can go ahead and start with inverts, continue testing, and then add fish once you know that you're not having any ammonia or nitrite. You're probably good by now if you didn't use live rock that had die-off or something.
Right.
Coming. AJ says, is the tank going to be a mixed reef tank or more of a specific type of corals? It's a little bit of everything. So it is all corals coming from Ora, and they have everything from soft corals, mushrooms, leather, xenia, up to SPS, bird's nests, stylophoras, acros, things like that. You may not see acros going in just because I don't think the tank's going to be mature enough to really even start with easy aquacultured acros. You might see maybe bird's nest and stylophora towards the end.
Right.
But we're definitely going to take pretty much their whole array is eventually going to make it in here, but probably for this series you're going to see softies, LPS, and some easy SPS maybe.
Jason says, how do you keep snails off your overflow? Thus triggering your ATO. I had to get rid of all my snails because they kept triggering my XP Aqua.
Your snails are rogue.
Rogue snails.
No, most of them don't, but for some reason, if they're going in that direction, you might find that some of them are just more the ones that like to sit at the water line. If there's not a lot of food, they might be going towards that area to find an area for food. If it's truly a problem, I would take those out and maybe just try a different type of cleaner. You know, especially for like things that are prone to just sit on the glass and the water line. Neorites do it. A lot of the like basic astrias tend to sit at the water line a lot. Go with something that's more rock oriented, so they're not doing it. Worst case, set up like a little guard that's larger, so that if they do sit on it, there's still water flow around it.
Right.
Mr. Pontiac, should the water levels in the chambers be about even with the top of the baffles? I tend to keep mine higher, but not sure what's correct. No, you don't want it that high. Generally in the sock, it's gonna come across even at the sock inlet. And then from there, like the middle chamber, but you want some drop down effect between them because it's gonna help break up the surface and not have that film kind of develop. So you want it surface skimming the aquarium and then throughout the baffles. And it's coming. It's coming. Yeah, there it is.
Just want to like freeze, make them think that the live stream's frozen.
We should do that every time, just freeze until the next question comes up.
Omar says, is there a rule of how many inverts to add to a system depending on your water volume?
Oh, that's a, no, yeah.
Yes, no, maybe.
Yes, no, maybe. It's really dependent upon any algae. So someone that's deciding to keep their lights on for a full cycle, you know, the whole 8-10 hours a day, and they don't have corals or anything, they're gonna have a lot more algae. They can probably pour inverts in. If your tank is super clean, you're keeping your lights to a minimum, you would then have less inverts. It's one of those things that I think you just kind of have to add and then see if you need more or not. Because the worst thing you want to do, like I said, you put in too many, and most of them are going to die because they're going to starve out very quickly. So you just kind of have to sequence. You know, you don't need to put 50 inverts in at one time. Just kind of slowly go into it with what you need for cleanup. What is your favorite species of snail?
Gary.
Gary has now topped
Gary
the list.
has officially
Because
topped the
he's
list.
huge and awesome. But as far as like types of inverts, or snail. Okay, snail, that makes it easier. It's a Nursery snail. And you know why? Because it's called a zombie snail. And these things are amazing. Because they're in your sand. You don't know they exist. Like you never see them. And then you put food in, and suddenly these little snorkels come up. And then these little snails just come cruising along the sand. And if you got like 20 of them, they all come out like emerging at the same time.
It's quite
really
amazing how
amazing.
quickly they recognize that there's food entering the tank.
I'm pretty sure they
Literally,
lay
like-
under the sand just waiting until they smell food, and then they're all like,
I feel
and
like it's almost immediately. Like the second stuff starts dropping down, you just see the whoop.
I know. And they're just like,
They're like little
plow
sand
up, sand comes
snorkels.
falling off of them, and they're just trucking along the sand bed. We need to do a
Sea
video.
creatures are weird.
We're gonna do a zombie snail video one of these times. We're gonna have some cool music
good
behind
idea.
it. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're gonna put that on the list.
She's very passionate about those.
I am. I love them. All right. Yours.
Would hermit crabs or is there any aggressive to corals?
Yeah, I didn't quite understand how to phrase the question. I think is, would hermit crabs be aggressive to corals?
So, hermit crabs can be somewhat carnivorous. They'll go after snails if they're vulnerable. If a coral is wounded or possibly dying, they're going to go to it. They're going to be more opportunistic in general.
Yeah.
Now, not bad, they're just opportunistic. All right, that's it.
Thank you all for the questions. We do those every week, so make sure to engage with us. And
Yep.
if you have any questions around the topic, it's the
We
time
have
to do
giveaways.
it. We do. We have giveaways. We got a T-shirt and some pump clean from
All right.
CJ.
Are those ready?
Ready to go.
All right, we're ready. We're gonna do a drum roll. And the winners are. That's you.
Mr. Pontiac 80 and Reef Clown. Congratulations, you guys. Email winners@waterboxaquariums.com. We'll get you hooked up.
Woo! All right. Congratulations on that one. We're always giving something away.
We are.
You never know. We're working with CJ because the pump is run by CJ. Ora's got us on livestock. It's a great build.
It is.
And next week is fish. It's our first fish. And you guys have
you get
no
to-
idea
yeah,
what we're
and you're
doing.
going to get to see the fish, the breeding facilities at Ora, right?
You want to see this. There are
Yes.
baby clowns everywhere, and it's the most adorable
Most
thing
amazing thing I've ever
ever.
seen in my life. It is
I've
great.
seen millions of baby clowns, and it was the best thing ever. So you have to stay tuned. That's next Wednesday. We'll show you that, and then we'll have some clowns to add.
Reminder, Reef LX build on Friday.
Yes, good point. I was going to mention that. So, guys, the Reef LX build, our guide to large reef aquariums, is not tomorrow. It is Friday at 1 p.m. this week. So, check us out. Is that stream scheduled now?
Yes.
So, it is
Go ahead
published. So
and hit
you,
that reminder button.
yeah, you can smash the remind button there, and we'll see you Friday for that.
We just made your Friday better,
Yes, we did.
just so you know. That's going to be a good episode about planning your large reef aquarium. So join us on Friday, and we'll be back here next Wednesday to put fish into this build.
Thank you, guys.
See ya.
Thank you all for watching. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Remember, you can visit us online at waterboxaquariums.com.
We're live every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for watching. See you next week.